I didn't know it was witchcraft. Like, I didn't know, like, oh, let me go do witchcraft. I was like, let me go do an energy healing. Let me go do an energy cleansing for this person to kind of speed up the process of, like, union, you know? And so...
Anyway, at the time, you fully believed that this was, like, legit. Like,
yeah.
If I do this, I'm going to fix everything.
Yeah.
What?
100%. And so I started working with a Nigerian witch doctor to get this stuff done, to get these spells essentially done. I didn't know that there were spells. I thought he was just an energy, like, work psychic that was helping me out. I started working with this other woman who was, like, feeding me everything I wanted to hear about this whole situation, that, like, we were together in a past life, and that is my twin flame, and, like, all this stuff. And then she started doing witchcraft, and you know, there was a lot of disturbing things that happened to me as a child. And because of that, it opened doors to the demonic, and I didn't know that. And so what ended up happening was, as a kid, you know, I was going through a lot of trauma because of the dysfunctional family household dynamic. And it opened the door to the supernatural in my life. So I was like 5 years old, and I would sleep in the living room, right? I just didn't feel safe in my room. So I would sleep in the living room, and I would see ghosts all over the living room, like literally fly, it was like a party. Like, it was like, all right, nighttime, let's go to Christina's. And it was literally a party of ghosts. Like, I remember I would, like, be sleeping on the couch, and I would wake up in the middle of the night. I would literally have to, like, rub my eyes, because I'm like, what am I seeing right now? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But I would literally see ghosts, like, flying, sitting on my other couches. And, like, it was scary because I would sleep directly, like, sideways on the couch, and straight ahead was the hallway. And I would see this one particular ghost. He would come, and then he would look at me and smile, and then go back. And I'm like, dude, like, it was just the craziest stuff. Like, and I was like a 5-year-old kid, and I was like, I don't understand, like, what I'm seeing, right? On top of that, when I was going to sleep, right, this is when I would wake up out of my sleep. And when I would go to sleep, there was this one demon that would come to me in my dreams every single night. And he would come, he would yank me out of my house, and he would take me with him. And the best way I could describe him was, he looked like the green pea giant on, like, the can of, like, green peas. So it was like this.
Whoa, hold on. That was a lot of information in the past 30 seconds. Hold on. So this is part of the disclaimer. I've only heard bits and pieces. This one I have not heard.
Yeah.
So how old were you?
Best guesstimate, like, this started when I was, like, I would say, like, 5 years old. But it lasted maybe till I was, like, 8 or 9. It's all very kind of just like...
So you were younger than Titus.
Yeah.
Titus is my wife's youngest son. He's now 7. So you're telling me at 5 years old, you would wake up and see these things, like, just chilling in your living room?
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't understand it at all. I didn't understand what I was seeing, right? And so naturally, I went to my mom with this stuff, and she made me believe that it was my imagination. She was just like, you have a really big imagination. Like, maybe that's what it is, you know? But then also, it just doesn't make any logical sense. Like, why would I be seeing all this stuff in the middle of the night when I'm physically awake? Like, I would literally get up, and it wasn't something where I was, like, half asleep, half awake. Like, I was physically awake seeing this stuff in the middle of the night. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe my mom's right. Maybe I am, you know, it is my imagination, and I'm just making figures out of, like, the furniture or, like, things I'm seeing in the living room, you know? But yeah, so that demon would come into my sleep. It was a reoccurring nightmare that I had every single night for a few months when I was a kid. And I remembered it, like, just because it really did something to me as a kid, where it's like, you have this reoccurring nightmare, like, he's there, like, on schedule every single night, like, ready to pick you up, like, ready to yank you out of your house. And it was one of those things where, like, it even made me feel worse, because, like, in my dreams, I would, like, scream for my family, and, like, they would, like, all let him take me. And so I just, like, didn't understand. Like, obviously it was my dream, but, like, you would wake up feeling like crap, because you're like, dude, my family is, like, not even, like, taking care of me. Like, they're letting this demon take me. And so anyway, so yeah, that demon would come into my night every, like, just on point would come, right? And so that would happen for a couple years of my, you know, childhood. And that's why I say, like, it's super important, because I really do feel that everything that I went through as a child kind of let all those open doors in, you know, and my parents did the absolute best that they could. They were going through a lot themselves, you know, and they weren't rooted in their faith the way they are now, you know. Praise God, my dad's, you know, going to church, and he married a woman of God, and I'm just so happy for that. And, you know, praise God, my mom's coming with me to church now too. So, but then they didn't have this understanding of, you know, the supernatural, right? And so I'm going through all this stuff. And then, you know, also I have this friend who is going through something similar, and she's sharing that with me. For me, it stopped. And then as we grew up, you know, this friend was sharing things with me that, you know, it was still happening to her, right? So now, fast forward, we're older, we're in our 20s, and she's sharing with me that, you know, she sees demons in her day-to-day life as an adult. And so she's going through all this stuff. And so it just starts, like, bringing me back to, like, man, like, all the stuff that I went through supernaturally as a kid, you know, because you get very, like, conformed to society, and you know, you get very out of touch with the fact that there is a supernatural realm. When, you know, you go to school, you go to college, you go to work, like, all these things, it really makes you just focus on this realm that we're living in. You forget about that aspect. And so she was, you know, kind of sharing with me that all of this stuff is real, like, everything is real. Like, they want you to think that it's not. It's just in the movies, but it's not just in the movies. Like, there is, like, a supernatural realm. And so because of that, like, just weird stuff would hang out when, weird stuff would happen when we would hang out. So, like, for example...
You and your friend?
Yeah, me and my friend. So, for example, we would be, like, smoky or something, and then we'd be talking about, like, oh, I want to get a calzone, and the next thing you know, there's, like, a calzone on the TV, or just, like, random stuff like that, right? Or she would be coming over to my house, and we were close enough to where she would just, like, walk into my house, and so I wouldn't even, like, know when she was coming. But there was one specific time where, like, she texted me that, like, she was on her way, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm cleaning the restroom, and I just get this sense, right? This, like, sense of, like, knowing. And whatever it was like, walk to the door. And I checked through the door hole, like the peephole, and there's, like, nothing there. Well, she wasn't there, I should say. And something was like, just stay there, just keep looking. And so I just, like, kept looking. And the next thing you know, within, like, 30 seconds, she's, like, turning the corner. And so, and I opened the door, and she looked at me so weird. And she was like, how did you know I was here? Because she wouldn't, like, text me or anything like that. And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, something just told me to come to the door and wait for you because you were about to be here. Just, like, random stuff like that, where I was like, okay, maybe the supernatural is real. And so with all of this, didn't know Jesus, didn't know anything about God. My family identified as Catholics, but it wasn't something where they went to mass every Sunday.
Yeah.
My mom identified as a Christian, but same thing, wouldn't go to church every Sunday. We believed that there was a God, right? But I didn't know that Jesus was the Son of God, and that Jesus was the way to God. I didn't know that. I just knew that there was a God of the universe, right? So I would pray always directly to God. So with that, you know, all of this supernatural stuff was happening to me. And then mixed with my upbringing of just, like, craziness, partying, drinking, alcohol, drugs. Now fast forward, I'm in my 20s. I am living at a condo in Diamond Bar. I moved out of the house, and I was in this condo experiencing life, like, for reals for the first time, you know, because I, like, had moved out of my childhood family home. Like, it was, like, me by myself, like. And so all of a sudden, like, all of this stuff started happening. And then it was just weird because my aunt, I live with my aunt. So I moved in with my aunt, right? And it was just us two. But she was gone, like, I would say, like, 70% of the time because she loves to travel. So I lived there by myself a lot. And so she would be gone a lot. And then all of this stuff just started coming at me. And something just told me, like, obviously now I know that it was, like, familiar spirits and demons. But something told me, like, start speaking things out loud. And one day I was going to go out with my aunt. And so we go to this bar. But before we go to this bar, I'm literally praying out loud, not to God, not to Jesus, just to the universe, right? I was like, universe, I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about these spirits. I don't know anything, but I feel like you're calling me. So whatever it is, I open myself up to you. And so as soon as I spoke that out loud, like, everything just went through a downward spiral to where that very night, I met someone, and it was a guy that I ended up dating for a couple weeks, right? And I'm going through this, like, quote unquote spiritual awakening that I think that I'm going through. And then I start finding out about like numerology. I start finding out about spirit guides. Like, I start doing my research on all this stuff, and I find out about twin flames. So I'm going through all of this. I find out that, supposedly I have two spirit guides. Everybody in the New Age thinks that they have two spirit guides that are assigned to them while they're on this journey on Earth. So essentially what New Age is, right? It's an umbrella term that we use. But what it really is everything under the sun that has to do with a spiritual awakening. So people think they're going through a spiritual awakening. They're waking up to a higher consciousness. They're trying to reach their higher self. And all of this stuff is happening, right? So they think that they're supposed to, raise their consciousness, go into a higher vibrational state. So the thing is that they think that like their life sucks because of the fact that they have been working in what they call a low vibrational state.
So that was going to be my question. What would have made someone want to even begin seeking this out? Like, is it because they're searching for more, or like you said, they feel like my life friggin' sucks. Like,
yeah,
I need something more than what's going on right now.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of things. It really is, though, like New Agers are seeking truth, right? They just don't know that the truth is Jesus. They don't know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. They're seeking some sort of like truth behind the supernatural realm, because it's like ultimately, especially like for whatever reason, people are just fascinated and intrigued by like psychics and mediums and the Ouija board and things like that, right? Things that are put on the movies. It intrigues people. Yeah, it's spooky, but like it also intrigues people to be like, man, that's kind of cool, even though us as Christians, we know it's demonic,
yeah,
right? But like if you don't know that it's demonic, yeah, it's spooky, but then it's also like, oh yeah, like I want to get my cards read, like what's going on in my future type of thing, And so New Agers are specifically seeking truth, and they think that they have found it when they run into the universe, right? When they meet their spirit guides, when they start learning about crystals and they find out that these crystals have healing powers, quote unquote, right? Like, oh, this crystal can help you find love, and this crystal can spiritually protect you, and this crystal can help you feel more calm, and things like that, right? They think that they have found the truth, but it's such a deception because it's not the truth, but they fully believe that. So the thing is that they believe that, yes, they're on this earth right now, right? But they're just in this bodysuit, but their spirit reincarnates. So they believe very heavily in reincarnation and other realms and other dimensions. So they think, oh, just for right now in this timeline where I'm at, my spirit has decided to come onto earth, go into this bodysuit, and we've contracted. Like they literally believe they've signed a contract to be on earth right now. Like they signed up for this. So they're like, yeah, I'm just, working out my contract on earth right now. Like, no biggie, And so all of this stuff, it's like, it's crazy. It's such a dark umbrella term of all this stuff. We just say New Age, but it's everything under the sun. And so the reason I had mentioned, in the beginning of all of this, I opened myself up to the universe, and I, welcomed in my two spirit guides, and then I met my twin flame. It's because those were three like very pivotal moments of what took me into just straight darkness. Because that was just the beginning. Like it got way dark from there. But so essentially a twin flame, right? It's this huge term in the New Age. And so people believe in the New Age, right? When they're going through a spiritual awakening, because of that, they believe that their soul, before it's on this earth, so they believe that they're a soul, right? Like a spirit, a soul, like a little orb, essentially, right? And so they believe that when you come onto this earth that is duality of good and bad, that your soul splits up, like your one soul splits up and goes into two separate bodies. And now it's your soul's mission to find the other person that has the half of your soul.
Like the soulmate.
Correct.
Okay.
It's like an enhanced soulmate in a way, right? It's like your literal soulmate, right? And so they believe that, you're half of a soul. You're looking for your other half. And so when you find that twin flame, quote unquote, they say that you'll know because of the connection. There's just certain characteristics that you'll want to look for in this twin flame, right? And so that night I believed that I didn't know it at the time. So we went through our, fling, whatever you want to call it. And then after the fact, I was like, wait a minute, that was my twin flame. And that's how the enemy gets you. I feel like the enemy is just so strategic, especially in this. And the reason I emphasize twin flame is because it's so huge. And I truly believe because of how much of a grip this twin flame has a hold on you, I really believe it is somewhat of like a principality in the spiritual realm because of how much it grips you and it just doesn't let you go. Like it's a stronghold essentially. And so it really gets you to the point where you're the way that it's how should I say, described or explained, right? You meet your half, you're going to go through a short season of finding each other, falling for each other, but then you have to go through a season of separation. And so when I was in my season of separation with this twin flame, that's when I just lost it completely. And it takes over you. It just grabs a hold of your mind so tightly that it's like you need to do whatever you can to come back into union. And so you hear about twin flames and you hear about it breaking up marriages, it breaking up families, because people are so hooked on this idea that you're not my twin flame and my twin flame is someone else who's not my spouse. I now have to divorce you because you're not the person that I'm meant to be with. And so it really does like I've heard stories of people who believe that it's their twin flame and they go after like searching for this person. They go to their job. And in my case, I've repented for this, but I ended up doing witchcraft on the person. And it's
No way.
You just think like, I need to get this person. Like, and you just start doing, I didn't know it was witchcraft. Like, I didn't know like, oh, let me go do witchcraft. I was like, let me go do an energy healing. Let me go do an energy cleansing for this person to kind of speed up the process of like union, And so,
anyway, at the time, you fully believe that this was like legit. Like,
yeah,
if I do this, I'm going to fix everything.
Yeah.
What?
100%. And so I started working with a Nigerian witch doctor to get this stuff done, to get these spells essentially done. I didn't know that there were spells. I thought he was just an energy like work psychic that was helping me out. I started working with this other woman who was like feeding me everything I wanted to hear about this whole situation, that like we were together in a past life and that is my twin flame and like all this stuff. And then she started doing witchcraft and it was crazy. I remember there was one day where she specifically did like witchcraft for the twin flame union or whatever it was. And I'm driving and I just felt sick to my stomach because she was doing witchcraft on me. And so I pulled over and I just started puking because I was like, what's going on? Like I texted her, I was like, I feel so sick. She was like, oh, it's normal. And like now come to find out, like, yeah, she was doing witchcraft on me. Of course I'm going to be sick. And so, now as a Christian, I can spot it real quick. And I'm just like, oh, that don't feel right. That feel like witchcraft, So it's like I can easily spot these things out now because of how deep into witchcraft I was. Now, given, again, I put emphasis on the fact that I did not know. I genuinely believed I was not doing anything bad. I genuinely believed that I was not doing witchcraft. I just believed that I was on a spiritual journey, having a spiritual awakening, trying to get to my twin flame and doing energy healing and energy work while I'm, doing all this stuff. And at the same time, trying to get to a higher consciousness, trying to find my higher self, trying to, work out of lower emotions. So I called it, and work into higher emotions and get to a higher consciousness. And, all of this stuff really took a turn when the condos that I lived at had a clubhouse and they posted a flyer saying that they were going to hold a meditation seminar. So as you can imagine, my mental health was already starting to deteriorate at this point because of all the craziness that I was believing and getting wrapped up in. And so I had heard a lot of good stuff about like mindful meditation, like, oh, that's going to help you like relieve some anxiety and like find inner peace and stuff like that. And so they were holding a meditation seminar at that clubhouse. And so they hired a Buddhist to come into the clubhouse and teach us how to meditate. And I started meditating. I really connected. I stood after the seminar and I connected with this Buddhist. She owned her own temple. So she invited me to go to her Buddhist temple and start praying to Buddha and start meditating. And so I really learned how to quiet my mind and pretty much just like travel the astral realm at that point, right? Because now it's like it's so different, right? And we can definitely go through the comparisons after, but it's like it's so different. It's hugely, it's just different from meditating as a Christian, because we're called to meditate on the Word of God and God's presence, right? And we should be putting on the full armor of God every day, because we don't know what's going on in the spiritual realm, because our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against, principalities. And so every morning we should be putting on our full armor of God, right? But then I obviously didn't. I didn't have a covering. I didn't have Jesus in my life. I wasn't under his grace. I had no relationship with Jesus. So ultimately I was going into this spiritual realm every single day unprotected, right? With no spiritual covering whatsoever, just an open target for the enemy and for demons to come and attack me. And so that's exactly what I was doing when I was learning how to meditate. I was going into deep states of meditation and, trying to now add another thing to my plate, right? Trying to achieve Buddhahood, thinking I was like a Buddhist. I was like, yeah, now I'm a Buddhist too. Like, no biggie,
What the heck?
So it just got really bad, because it's like, there's so many truths. So they say in the New Age, right? They say whatever is your truth, and my truth is my truth. And,
oh, that's such a lie.
And yeah, exactly.
It's such a lie.
And so with Christians, obviously we know, like, no, it's not my truth. It's Jesus. He's the truth, right? And so, but for New Agers, because they don't want to believe that they're living in sin, because they think that they're light workers, and they believe that what they're doing is healing the earth. That's exactly what they think that they're doing. They think that they're bringing the earth, as they call it, the masses, right, into a higher state of consciousness. They believe that they're the pioneers. That's why not too many people are into it, because they were the ones who were chosen to start this, and they're the pioneers in this movement. And so they're in charge of raising their own vibration. They're in charge of doing all the things for themselves that's then going to trickle the vibration of the entire earth. That's then going to wake everybody up. So they believe that at some point in time, everybody's going to be awakened into this 5D consciousness, and we're going to be living in some sort of utopia, where they call it New Earth. So they believe that we're ushering in a new earth, when in reality it's like, no, this earth is fleeting and the end is near, and Jesus is coming back like any moment. But they believe that this earth is healing right now, and that's what they're doing. Everything that they're doing is working towards healing the earth, and there's going to be a new utopian society where this earth isn't going to look anything like this anymore. Like, it's going to be a whole new earth. So that's what they're doing right now. So it's like, why are they wasting all this time and going through all this stuff? Is because they believe that they're raising the consciousness of the entire earth.
So I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. Not necessarily because of your testimony, but because, like, the little bits and pieces of what you're telling me, I see, like, in day-to-day things, in movies, in TV shows. And it's not full-blown, like, everything you're saying, but it's almost like little hints.
Yeah.
It's almost like the little seeds have been planted in very, very small increments.
Yeah.
And over time, it's almost like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, all the jewels, like in Marvel movies, that, like, you know what I mean? Like the crystals and stuff like that are supposed to give people powers.
Yeah.
It's like, I can understand, like, especially like the kids growing up can think, oh, well, if I get that rock, I can heal like that.
Yeah.
Not even realizing that this is the path that they're going down through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you actually, and I don't mean it to make it like I'm poking fun, but during this time, you firmly believed in your heart that this is what was real.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's so crazy that people will adapt this ideology, right? This craziness before they adapt to the truth that is Jesus. Like, dang. You'll have like a New Ager, right? And again, they don't refer to themselves as New Age. They don't even know that they're referred to as New Agers. They are like, well, I'm hiring my consciousness. I'm going through a spiritual awakening is what they call it. And so you'll have a new ager who's going through a spiritual awakening, who is working on, opening their third eye and doing Reiki healing and all this crazy stuff, right? Doing crystals and yoga and all the craziness. But you tell them about Jesus and they're like, nah, you're crazy. Like, that's literally what I thought as a New Ager. So when I was a New Ager, I thought Christians were lost. I thought Christians were deceived. I thought, like, oh my gosh, they're so far gone. Like, they're so far gone from the truth of New Age, of what's this new earth about higher consciousness. They just want to, because of the fact that, like, New Agers are so, like, we're our own healer. Like, are meant to heal ourselves, and we're meant to raise our own consciousness. So if you're having a bad day, if anything is going wrong in your life, it's your fault. In the New Age, right? They believe, like, dude, like, my vibrations must be so low that I'm attracting all of this, like, negativity towards me. Like, it's my fault. I got to go meditate. I got to go do yoga. I got to go do something to raise my vibrations because I'm attracting all of this negativity towards me. And so it's just such a dark cycle that you're your own savior. It's like, you're not your own savior. You were never meant to be your own savior, and that's why it's not working for you, because you're not your own savior. Jesus is your savior. And so, but they don't know that, right? But because of the fact that they're so brainwashed in the New Age that I have to heal myself and I'm in charge of this healing journey, that when you see Christians who are like, no, just give it to Jesus, like, give everything, cast your cares to Jesus. They're like, what? Like, you don't cast your cares to Jesus. You take on your cares and you make sure that you fix them, So they just think, like, that's the easy way out. Like, that's literally, well, and I'll get into that. I'm just kind of dissecting it. But when I left the New Age, one of my mentors in the New Age literally told me that, like, you're taking the easy way out. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, I don't want all this craziness.
I don't want all this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely dissecting into, what all that was. So, it just got worse. It got progressively worse. Like, I know that already sounds terrible, but that was only the beginning. And so
that's the beginning?
That's the beginning. Yeah. So it gets so much more worse, right? And so there I am,
I feel like I need popcorn. I'm like, oh my God.
It's so bad. It was so bad, but like, I wouldn't change a thing because all of it ultimately led me to Jesus. But it was just so bad, Coach. Like, I look back and I'm like, I wish I could just give that girl a hug and, like, tell her it's going to be okay, because I literally, like, I had no grip on reality, and I don't know. It was just really bad. But anyways, I'm there trying to achieve Buddhahood, right? Trying to reconnect with my twin flame, connecting with my spirit guides. And I start, going deeper into meditation. And then my mental health really just got so bad that I just didn't want to live anymore. Like, I couldn't even go to the store without having anxiety. Mind you, I think I'm going on this spiritual journey, right? But at the same time, my mental health is completely deteriorating, and I can't even go outside to go to the park or, like, to go to the store because I have such gripping anxiety over my life. And it got to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. Like, obviously, I opened myself up, right, to the demonic. I opened myself up to anxiety, to depression. And it got to the point where I would just be in my room sobbing and crying for hours, literally, like, pulling my hair out because I was so depressed. But it was because of everything that I let in while I was doing all of this witchcraft. And so, again, not knowing that it was witchcraft. So I started seeing, like, an actual therapist, like an actual, counselor to help me with my mental health, because it was just really, really bad.
Not like a New Age counselor, but like a licensed, legit therapist. Okay.
Like, legit going to counseling and, seeing a therapist for this. And so, she's wanting to prescribe me medication for anxiety because I'm telling her what I'm going through. And so I'm like, no, I don't want to take these pills, and that's really big in the New Age, because it's like they're all grouped with anxiety, but nobody wants to take the medication because they're like, you're meant to heal yourself. You don't need the pills. So like,
Wow.
I was brainwashed by that, where it's like, no, these pills are going to numb me out and I'm not going to get to go through these emotions and I'm not going to go through this journey of this healing process, because they believe that the only way to heal yourself and get rid of the anxiety is through. You'll hear that a lot in New Age, where it's like, I'm going through anxiety and depression, but I'm on this journey and I just have to get through it. Like, I'm literally on a healing journey, right? They don't think, like, obviously it's a demon. Like, you have to get it cast out of you with what you're letting in. And I'm not saying that all anxiety and depression, doesn't need medication and it's all a demon. We have to be very careful with that. But specifically in my case, it was. And so, anyways, they tell you not to take the pills in New Age. All the people that you're looking up to, all the influencers, everything, they tell you not to take the pills because you're going to numb out and you're not going to go through your healing journey. So I'm like, I don't want to take the pills. And she recommends yoga to me, right? This non-New Age counselor who is just a normal day-to-day counselor recommends yoga to me. And so I was like, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I went to a yoga class. It was pretty cool. I was like, all right, like, this is fun. Like, I like it. Now, fast forward, right? I'm looking for a part-time job. I'm not really happy where I'm at, working. So I'm like, let me find a job, but let me see if there's any like meditation studios, crystal shops, anything like that I could potentially find.
Oh my God.
To start working at. I mean, I was in it. That's one thing about me. If I'm in it, I'm in it. There's no compromise in my life. So that's one thing that
you're like, I'm on fire. Just pour more gas on me. Just keep pouring it.
Exactly.
I'm going through it.
100%. If I see something, I'm gonna see it all the way through. If I'm gonna be a part of something, I'm gonna be 100% in it. And so I was like, yeah, let's see if there's any openings anywhere. Maybe I'll actually have fun while I go to work. Things like that. They in New Age really throw this whole concept away of like building a family and having a career and all this stuff. They just think that you are like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just meant to heal. So I'm going to find my modality, they call it, right? So whether that be a tarot card reader, a medium, a psychic, there's a lot of different healers in the New Age, right? Reiki, shamanic healers, opening up your Akashic records. So they say, find your modality, find what you're called to do, see that out, and then pretty much teach that, take on clients, and that's how you make a living in the New Age. So they really don't have like actual jobs, a lot of these New Agers. And if they do, it's kind of weird. They almost kind of have to like explain themselves like, yeah, I still have a normal human job, It's like, it's the weirdest thing. And so I'm like, well, let me, start finding a job that's not like a normal human job. Let me go find a witchcraft job. And so I actually ended up finding
a witchcraft job.
Yeah, exactly that. I ended up finding this yoga studio, right? I looked up like meditation center, yoga studio, like under that like umbrella. And so I found this studio that was like 10, 15 minutes from my house where I was living in Diamond Bar. And it was a new startup company and they were looking for interns. They were like, we're a startup company. We can't necessarily pay you yet, but if you want to come intern for us, we can definitely show you the ropes. You can take all of our classes for free. And so I was like, dude, I'm down. Like, it's a crystal shop. It's a yoga shop. It's meditation. They're going to teach me everything. Like, I'm down. And so I went and I interviewed for the position of the intern. And it was 3 women who owned this shop, right? And so one of the women who owned it was there and she interviewed me. And when she started interviewing me, she was like, yeah, I'm a medium. And I was like, okay, like you connect to the dead. And she was like, yeah, exactly. Like I connect to the dead. So that's how I help people heal. So I connect to their dead loved ones, their dead relatives, and I help them get closure that they never got. And so that's a healing modality in itself. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've never met a medium, but like I used to see ghosts when I was a kid. And she was like, yeah, she was like, after like our interview and everything, she was like, you have this gift too, right? And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you're a medium. And I was like, what do you mean I'm a medium? And she was like, you have this gift. Not everybody has it, but you specifically have it. And so
I thought you'd be like, no, I'm a small.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah,
I'm not quite a
exactly.
medium, but no, I'm like small
Exactly.
medium-ish.
Exactly, right? And so it's funny because like I was always so fascinated by mediums. I used to watch the show Long Island Medium as a kid all
I
the
know what you're
time.
talking about. Yeah.
I loved that show. I loved her. And so I was always so fascinated by mediums. And so when I met a medium who told me I was a medium, I was like, heck yeah. Right? It was all butterflies and rainbows there when she told me I was a medium. So she was like, you got the job and you're a medium. And it was all butterflies and rainbows until it was time to go back to my condo where I was alone. And now I'm like, crap, I'm a medium. So I was like, wait, does that mean I like got to see dead people now? Or like, so it hit me. And I was literally sitting in my car and I was like, I don't want to go inside. And I was like, dude, make it make sense. Like, you're a medium, but you're scared to see dead people. But like, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And so now I'm like, okay, well, like I thought it was God, right? Everything that I thought I was doing in New Age, I thought was like God's purpose for my life. And it was, not Jesus God, but it was, for the kingdom of darkness. And so I'm over here like now living in a constant state of fear because of the fact that I'm like, well, dude, I'm a medium and God gave me this gift. So I have to do it. Like it's my part in this collective consciousness to raise the vibration to be a medium. And so now I'm literally living in a constant state of fear, like pit in my stomach. Like, I'm like, dude, I am going to see a ghost at any moment now. Like, I literally couldn't even turn the corner in the hallway of my house because I thought there was going to be like a ghost waiting for me on the other side.
So you get a job at this yoga studio as an intern.
Yeah.
Thinking my life's going to get so much better now that I can do this on a daily for free.
Yeah.
But now it's just worse because you're anticipating seeing a dead person like anywhere.
Yeah. Anywhere, anytime.
How did you live through all this?
It was exhausting. It was so exhausting. And that wasn't even the end of it. Like, it was
there's more.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. It was so bad. And that's why you can imagine, like, I was just so out of touch with reality because I built this reality for myself that, like, ultimately, like, I was having fun doing it, but, like, behind closed doors, I was dealing with so much anxiety and depression and fear, but it just, like, I don't know. It was crazy because like you really believe it. Like you just 1,000% believe that you're doing the right thing and that you're a light worker and doing all of this for God. Like you believe that you are serving God when you are doing this stuff. And that's why it was like, it's crazy because it was almost like I had the fear of God, but like obviously not for Jesus, like for the kingdom of darkness, because as much as I did not want to do it and as much as like me as a person, like I was scared to see dead people, I genuinely thought that was my purpose that God had given me. And so I'm here like so scared that I'm going to see a ghost at any point in time. Right. So I'm constantly in a state of fear, but I would always have to talk myself off the ledge. And, it was kind of like contradicting because like sometimes it helped and sometimes it didn't. It just made me so much more paranoid. But I was always high. Like I smoked weed all the time.
Oh, we're adding more to this.
Yeah. Yeah. So literally from the moment I woke up, to when I went to bed at night, I was high. Like I was always smoking weed, whether it was like going outside to smoke or like I had my weed pen on me. Like I was just always high. And so I was coping through that, but then there was times where I would just get so much more paranoid that I would just literally just constantly, my heart was racing and just exhausted, just spiritually, mentally, physically exhausted. And so, I start going through all this stuff. And then to add on top of that, in the New Age movement, they believe that they're star seeds, right? That they were like once a star, but now that star has came and is like a human. So they believe that they're like actual stars in a human body. And so they're from like different planets, right? And so they believe that they're some sort of like alien, extraterrestrial, now in a human body. But then it's very common, and a lot of New Agers that I would listen to, like influencers or YouTubers who were deep in the New Age movement, shared their experience with like seeing actual aliens. And so I was scared, like, dude, I'm gonna see an alien. Like, and now I couldn't even sleep at night because I was like, on top of seeing dead people, I'm gonna see an alien. I can't
rest during the day because I'm seeing a dead person. I can't go to sleep because the alien's gonna kidnap me and abduct me in their space.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, girl!
It was so bad. It was so bad. she talked about how she had an extraterrestrial encounter in the middle of the night, and how it came and did surgery on her, and it like took some of her eggs and it made a hybrid baby, so like half alien, half human, and like now she has like a hybrid baby that's like in another planet. And so if you're doing yoga, yeah, you're opening yourself up to these demons, you're opening yourself up to these Hindu gods. And you know, if you're a Christian and if you're sanctified, you should have nothing to do with yoga.